So,
Absolutely.
I often say nothing like being a niche product in India, where you have a 1.3 billion people. If I cater to 5% of them, right, that's like
Yeah.
60 million people, which is one fifth of the US population. And so I'm happy to be a niche. We just need to be a big niche.
True.
And
True.
today, I think we're a small niche because of awareness, and we're very conscious that price, availability, and education of how to cook it
Yeah.
will take it from that small niche awareness to a big niche awareness.
Hey, welcome to a new episode of Voice It with Karishma. So, protein, the first thing that anybody thinks about when they think about diet, fitness, as a matter of fact, even vegan people, they all think about the word protein for the first and foremost thing that they want to start with. Um, so, a lot of people are aware about so many different sources of protein, but one source is still a little hidden, especially with the Indians. And today we have somebody who has ventured into the aspect of finally bringing out that protein source to every single doorstep as much as he can at the moment. We have Mr. Ramasubramanian. We have Mr. Siddharth Ramasubramanian with us today from the brand Hello Tempay. As the word suggests, the brand is all about tempeh. And what is tempeh? Let me give you a little bit of an introduction about tempeh before I start asking Mr. Siddharth about all the different things that we want to know about, his journey, the way that he started, what the brand is about, what his mission and vision is. To begin with, just like tofu and just like paneer, tempeh is a very good source of protein. It's made by a fermentation process, and it's usually derived from fermentation of soybeans. And to give us a little bit more elaborate knowledge and information about the product and the brand, we're going to now talk to Siddharth, and we're going to ask him about all the things that he has to share with us about this wonderful protein source, which is again a favorite of mine, and also just how his overall journey has been. So Siddharth, welcome to Voice It, and it's lovely to have you here today. We're very
Yeah.
excited. We're very excited to speak to you about all the different aspects about how you started Hello Tempeh, and what are the different aspects that have gone into creating a very niche product currently. So please tell us how why Hello Tempeh, why the venture into finally bringing tempeh to everybody. Please guide us through the journey.
Yeah, great. Karishma, thanks for having me. Never a dull moment when we're talking about Tempay and our journey, because it's pretty new. We're about 14 months old. We've been in the market, and probably a year and a half before that of doing the groundwork, because we're one of the few, if not only, large-scale manufacturers of tempeh in India.
Yes.
So I guess the journey actually didn't start with tempeh at all. Where the journey started was me watching a bunch of vegetarian folks like me sitting around a table complaining about protein.
Yeah.
And it was becoming a bit of a recurring topic amongst many. And what was interesting about it was there's a couple of themes that came through. One of them was, how much paneer can I eat? It wasn't just about, oh, I need more protein. It was about, man, I'm eating paneer. They ask me to get protein. I can eat maybe eggs. If somebody eats eggs, they can only eat for breakfast. So there was this real sort of banter about all of these various struggles. And the more I heard it, the more it became clear to me, after which we did a bunch of research to make sure that our insights and my instincts were on, is that vegetarians don't have enough choices for protein. And in fact, the choices that they do have get quite boring and monotonous.
Yeah.
And they need a break. They need something new. The second thing for us was that in a market like India, we love to eat, and we love our food, and it's an emotional bond that we have with flavors, food. Whether you're a rickshaw wala that says, "Bhaiya, wahan mat chai pina, idhar jaake chai pina," or if somebody says, "Pav bhaji isse kharido," or if it's somebody else that says whatever, right? From the premium and sort of highest levels of society to the entry level of society, we know our food, we love our food. So we said, how do we sort of get food in a way that is emotional and heartwarming and tasty, and people want to cook with it and they can have fun with it and be happy about eating it, And how do we resolve this boredom that vegetarians face around eating the same thing for protein all the time? And
Yes.
that while we have protein shakes and pills and bars, we're not all going to turn into cyborgs drinking shakes and taking pills. We still want to eat our food and we want our flavor. So it sort of became a bit of an obsession of mine to go, I think this is a really amazing cause to want to fight for. And I come from the hotel and restaurant business for 15, 20 years. So I've been always around food. And so I always find it exciting to kind of find food or find chefs or find products that excite. And so we didn't really have a product. We just had an insight that said, if we can create this amazing ingredient, now the problem was I didn't know what that ingredient was supposed to be.
Yeah.
So I think we believed strongly enough that if the ingredient was right, that there would be an opportunity. And that's where the hunt started.
Yes.
And I started traveling and I started kind of researching and figuring out what was there. And in fact, Tempayy wasn't even on my radar. There's a big buzz about plant-based meat. We found that to be too processed, too many chemicals, too much processing, too much. It's fried and it's nuggets. It's not something people want to eat every day for good health and protein. It's, at least in our view. And one day by accident, when I was in Netherlands, somebody was showing me some plant-based hot dogs. And then like what people do in Europe, when they see an Indian face, they say, "Arey yaar, he must be missing his Indian khana, Uske liye kuch banate hain." So he made some tikka curry or something with some rice and pulao. And then I ate it. And I said, "Oh, acha, ye paneer ka hai." So I ate it. And I ate the cubes and I said, "This isn't paneer, is it? It's not quite paneer. It looks like paneer." Yeah. He said, "No, it's not paneer. It's something called tempeh." So I had a few more bites and I just said, "Wow, this texture is really nice and feels different from paneer." And I enjoyed it and I ate it. And I started asking him about it. And he started telling me about it. And that's that moment, that aha kind of moment I had when I just go, "Oh, this is an interesting ingredient." And I started praying to God right that moment, saying, "Please have a lot of protein. Please have a lot of protein, because if you don't have protein, then I can't take you home. I can't take you home with me." You know what I mean?
I absolutely understand.
I was like, "Please don't be high in carbs and fat. Please don't be high in carbs and fat." And literally, we finished talking and he's like, "Why are you showing so much interest in tempeh?" I said, "I'm not showing interest in tempeh. I just ate something I liked." Yeah. And he said, "By the way, this has one of the highest, if not the highest, quality and quantity of protein of any natural food." Yeah. Right? And it's one of those moments in business, business is life, life is business, when you kind of go, kind of like, that you believe in that kind of, hey, it's supposed to happen and you're supposed to find something. And I just picked it up and I said, whatever happens, I think this is a product that has potential. And from that moment onwards, I've ordered tempeh from multiple places. We've made it. We have other people make it for us and tested it for 1 year on friends, kids, cooks. Yeah. And that's kind of how we found tempeh. And when we found it through a tikka masala in Netherlands, to then understanding its nutrition profile, to then cooking with it, making it our own, and then sort of saying, yes, I think this will benefit Indians and they will enjoy eating it, at least enough of them. Yeah. That's kind of how we started.
Wow, I love the story. It is so similar to the way that I discovered tempeh, and I just loved it. I love the whole aspect about, actually venturing out and kind of finding something that has to blend into the kind of concept that you want to actually eventually bring out, to the overall population as well, Right. I went to, I'm going to quickly share my story so that, we can, we can understand how really funny some of the stories of finding really rare, good kind of food is, I was in Bali and I went there for my culinary course. And when I was in Bali, I used to go to these restaurants which were completely plant-based. And one of these days I did order for something. It was very interesting because I had not tried tempeh before that, but I would see it on all the menus over there, So I said, okay, let's try this out. And it was fantastic. I think, the best part that you mentioned, the texture, it has this really nice, interesting, not really crunchy, not really soft kind of a texture that so many Indians like, it being plant-based as well, having a lot of protein. And I was like, wow, why don't we have this back home? Like, why are Indians not open to, um, making it or selling it or even it being easily available everywhere? And I had a lot of it over there because
Yeah,
I,
yeah, we do.
I felt like if I come back and I don't get it, but it was amazing. I actually fell in love with tempeh right there. And then I got back and, I realized that, oh, it's not available over here. There are not too many people who make it. There's no awareness. Like you very rightly said, that um, sometimes it takes a little time to finally reach something when you understand this is good for my body and this is tasting good as well. It's not something that I'm churning into some kind of a protein smoothie and just chugging down every single day, because that's not how most of us want to live life.
Right.
So very, very rightly said. I love the story. Thank you so much for sharing.
Right, of course.
Um, I want to, Siddharth, I want to ask you another thing that, with the journey, right? Um, the availability is so less. And, you're one of the first people who are actually making it mainstream with all these Indian flavors. I've tried the products. I've actually tried the product. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
But to be able to, actually get into the production of this on a larger scale, um, to then bring it out into the market and then selling it and making people aware about it, did you face any challenges initially or even now? Would you like to share those with us?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're the only ones producing tempeh in India. We're producing, anywhere close to 10 tons a month. We're able to produce, and those are not small numbers for a country that was producing a few hundred kilos maybe a month
Yes.
collectively. So I guess it all revolves around risk and conviction, right? It's it's possible to do it,
Yeah.
right? So it's possible for someone to do it. So if someone can do it, why not us?
Absolutely.
Right? That's the basic belief you have to have. And the second part is you got to find the best people you can. And we have an R&D partner out of Netherlands that understands how to not just make it, but scale it. We had the know-how, they had the ability to produce. And we have a partnership with them where we produce along with them. They produce for us with our know-how. And we just said, we got to get good people, reliable people, because the number one challenge in any business is people.
Yeah.
Right. And you can have great process and great manuals and great equipment and shiny floors, but you need people who can day in and day out deliver you quality. Because I was not about to introduce a new ingredient in India and screw up the reputation of that ingredient, because I didn't invent it.
True.
I wasn't in a lab inventing tempeh. Tempeh has been around for 1,000 years. My role was to not screw up its kind of journey through this world, right? My goal is to say, hey, can we make a difference by bringing this ingredient to the most populous country of vegetarians in the world and make a difference? So that's a pretty big responsibility that we take on our shoulders, but also at the same time, it keeps us really wide awake, right? To get the right people. So I think we got the right people. Then it's just day in and day out work, right? And to make sure that we keep the right people. That's the first part.
Yes.
And I think once we understood, and that we weren't in a rush, right? We were not the kind of startup that said, okay, put something out there, if it's not good, change it tomorrow. We just said, hey, we'll take an extra 3 or 4 months or 5 months or 6 months, but let's get that product right. Let's send it to 200 people, let them eat it, let them cook with it, let them complain about it. Let's then see what we can correct, what we can't correct, what are their struggles. And then we launched it. So, while we're taking risk, we are trying to be as calculated every step of the way to say, hey, you know what? Indians love food. This is a new food, and food should be accessible. So I guess the challenge was finding the right people, because everything else will fall into place.
Yes, rightly said. I absolutely agree.
Quality in India can be suspect. Let's be very open, right? Quality in India, in many instances, when you're looking at new products, when you're looking at new things, people can tell you one thing and do something else, right? There are some cultural issues around producing world-class products. And today things have gotten so much better, and there's a generation in the workforce that's so much better, and we're very lucky to have them with us.
Fantastic. I think that's brilliant. Also, one of the challenges which I think you already solved, and it was so mindful of you to kind of look at it. I remember when I had the first conversation with you, I kind of mentioned this, that and I feel like that was the first thing that was very enticing about the product. We can bring in tempeh and then it looks really plain, and it has all the mold on it because it's a fermented product. And if you would give raw tempeh to somebody, especially Indians, because they're not aware of how to handle it, there's going to be this question: okay, what do I do with this? How am I supposed to cook it? Like, what do I do with, what am I supposed to do with this? And if you tell them that, oh, you just have to cook it like paneer, that's not going to register really well. So one of the things that I loved was that it's already cut and it's already flavored, so there's no real hassle about how do I cook with this, what are the flavorings that I can add. You've already done that kind of math before, and then that final product is reaching the client. And I feel like that was a brilliant that's one of the brilliant moves, if I could say, that you could do as a startup, especially entering into a market which doesn't know how to handle a product like that. So I think that was brilliant.
Yeah, thanks. No, I think and I think part of it is we run a lot on intuition. Like, do we feel good about it? Yeah. Right? Like, we always ask ourselves, do we feel good about it? That the 50 people that we always talk to, do they feel good about it? It's not like, hey, I put up a board of something and get a bunch of random people to say whether they like it or not. Does it feel right? Like, for example, when we decided to do chettinad, we did no research, right? I was just like, chettinad is like a kick-ass flavor. Lots of people don't do it. It's a strong flavor, works really well with tempeh. It may take a little bit longer, and it sounds a little exciting, and people just go, oh, I want to have it. Peri peri is a commercially interesting flavor. Lots of people know it. Lots of people want it. So we did sriracha. Oh, maybe people will not know, but yeah, maybe some will know, some will not know. And we just said, let's go with the flavors that work. Let's, for lack of a better word, let's make it look like bubble gum, right? Let's make it look colorful, make it look like a Bollywood song. And when it sits on the shelf, let it be like, arey yaar, it's nice, it's bright, it's happy, it's not healthy diet, fermented, good for your gut. Bichara bimar hai, khane do usko thoda tempeh.
I love
it's
that.
About celebrate it. Like, oh, you had a great day today? Smash it with some tempeh pav bhaji, smash it with the tempeh stir fry. Like, treat it as a treat and as a good thing and as a celebratory thing, because nothing wrong with it. Chicken has a lot of protein and you eat it when you celebrate, don't you? So why not eat tempeh when you want to celebrate? I guess that was our approach to it.
I love that. I love the whole, thought behind it. As you mentioned, the intuition behind it, I think it was really spot on, with the vegetarians and with vegans now also, or even if you would just mention like the whole plant-based community. There's this one thing that, I would go to like so many conferences and seminars and webinars, and that one question would always come in from somebody or the other. And they're like, okay, ye sab to theek hai. What about the protein? So it would always that, like, how much coconut, how much coconut milk can I have, or what can I do to be able to incorporate that kind of percentage if I'm somebody who's looking to gain muscle and things like that. So I feel like the introduction of something, because tempeh is gluten-free, it's vegan, and it's also high in protein. So I feel like an introduction of a product like that, which is also yummy and tasty if you have a palate for it. So if that's a part of your diet, I feel like it's a win-win situation for everybody. You're not forcing yourself to have 2 protein shakes in a day, but you can substitute with something that is, exactly, is part of your meal and is yummy also.
No. And I think, so, for us, when we had these building blocks of celebration, enjoyment, sensory, affordability was another really important one. We saw that a lot of plant-based milk and plant-based meats were coming in at like 250 to 350 rupees for 200 to 250 grams. Depending on whether it was nuggets and stuff. And we just said, hey, if paneer is good quality, paneer is 100 to 120 rupees, and we're at about 130, 150 rupees, we're within that 10, 20 rupee premium, and we're flavored, we're seasoned. Yeah. It's a clean label product, and it's something new with nice packaging. It's not a very big premium for somebody to trade up and try it, as opposed to paying another 100 or 120 rupees or double that. Was very important for us to hit the right price point, because I can talk lots of nice things, but if the person who comes there and says, "Arey yaar, thoda mehenga nahi hai," then I will hit a certain segment, right? You had earlier talked about a niche product. It's a niche product from an awareness standpoint.
Yeah.
I don't believe, I think it's a big niche,
Yeah.
post awareness building and affordability rolled in. So,
Absolutely.
I often say nothing like being a niche product in India, where you have a 1.3 billion people. If I cater to 5% of them, right, that's like
Yeah.
60 million people, which is 1/5 of the US population. And so I'm happy to be a niche. We just need to be a big niche.
True.
And
True.
today, I think we're a small niche because of awareness, and we're very conscious that price, availability, and education of how to cook it
Yeah.
will take it from that small niche awareness to a big niche awareness.
I
And
agree.
uh, so that's kind of, so you had this sort of, how do you, protein, price. And one of the things we spend a lot of time on is we just said, tempeh has no nationality.
Yeah.
And I always say that because today, if tofu were to walk into the room, what language would it be speaking?
Yes.
Most would argue Chinese. If
Yes.
if paneer walks into the room right now, it's probably speaking Hindi or most likely even Punjabi, probably.
Yes.
Right? I said when tempeh walks into the room, it's going to speak the language that you wanted to talk to you in at that moment in time.
Yes.
Right? And because it's so versatile, you can mince it, mash it, cube it. It absorbs flavor, unlike a paneer or a tofu, which coat flavor.
Yeah.
Tempeh absorbs flavor. So you're flavor absorbing. I can mince you, mash you, which means I can make a pasta bolognese, I can make a kebab, I can make a burger, I can make a chettinad curry with it. So when the options are limitless, it's really a blank slate. And that's
Yes.
why we did a Szechuan, we did a tawa, we did a peri peri, we did a chettinad, just to tell people that don't pin a nationality on this ingredient. It'll be who you want it to be.
I love
And
that.
right. And so that automatically, and today our customers, if you look at our Instagram posts or you look at what other people tag us on when they make stuff, you'll have somebody who'll make a chettinad curry that's kind of a little bit more greasy. So it's really not even healthy. The way they've made it, it's super greasy and they're eating with a bunch of Malabar paratha, but they're enjoying it. It's like an indulgence food for them. And of course, she says, oh, it has so much protein. And you have somebody else who makes a Buddha bowl with it in its most simple form with broccoli and quinoa, and then somebody feeding their kid a cutlet. That's like a dream for us, right? It's a dream that, you can buy it. It's like buying vegetables, or you buy a potato, you keep it. You don't buy a potato going, oh, I'm buying these potatoes so that I make this with it.
Yeah.
You buy it going, okay, potatoes se to kuch to banega, 2 hafte ke liye. Same thing with tempeh. It's like, I'll make what I'm in the mood for. So that's kind of our journey, right? Affordability, protein, and it can be who you want it to be.
And that's one of the reasons why I love it so much. All the points that you just mentioned, actually, they hit right. They hit right on the spot, because that's what we actually look at. We're looking at all these possibilities whenever we're incorporating something which we can make a part of our day-to-day routine, right? And food is that. We can connect it to emotions, we can connect it to flavor, we can connect it to something where we're incorporating it for health benefits also. So it kind of checks all those parameters as well. So that, tell me, I love the aspect that it's also so affordable, and anybody and everybody can get their hands on it if they would like to try it, if they would like to incorporate it once they kind of develop a taste for it and start loving it.
Yeah.
But what are some of the future prospects? Like what really gets you excited about maybe 2 years, 3 years, 4 years down the line? How do you see the growth of Hello Tempayy?
Yeah, I think there's two things that excite us. Well, at its most basic level, I still have a childlike excitement every time I hear somebody who tries our tempeh, actually tempeh in general, but especially when it's our tempeh, and says, "Hey, I really liked it." I think we're young enough that we're insecure enough that we love it when somebody says something sweet and means it. That means they like the product, right? Great. The second thing that excites me, other than just being complimented about our product, is that I think we're working on some pretty exciting new products, right? Because ready to cook was how we wanted to introduce it, which means khana paka sakta hai, it's staple, it's always in my fridge. But the
Absolutely.
opportunities to create frozen snacks that you don't have to cook, you just have to pan toss it, right? It could be a burger, it could be anything. The opportunity to create that where you just go, I really don't have time,
Yeah.
but I don't want to eat something that tastes like chicken because I'm a vegetarian or vegan or whatever, and it has a variety of things. But aloo tikki. So the next guys we're going after are aloo tikkis and hara bara kebab because they've also done a lot of heavy lifting for the last 100 years. Unko bhi thoda aaram karne do, right? Right? It's like when you have a snack, it's like paneer tikka, hara bara kebab, aloo tikki, carb, no nutrition, and paneer. Fine. So how about we do tempeh snacking?
Yeah.
Both that is on the go snacking, frozen snacking, is where we're excited because I think the potential is enormous.
Yes.
So that it's not something you have to cook and it's something you can munch on when you go. So we're working on a bunch of formats, early stages, but we're pretty far along on some and early stages on the other. And the last piece is we think we have the opportunity to be a global company that's
Yes.
born out of India.
Yeah.
And, if tomorrow in 10 years, people think tempeh is like a much more mainstream food for vegetarians, vegans, people who want to be plant-based, people who want more protein. Hello Tempeh should be not just tempeh. It's not just tempeh. It's also Hello Tempeh needs to be a brand that sits on the shelf with anybody from anywhere else in the world. And that's kind of a long-term excitement.
Yeah.
But my short-term excitement is feeding people the product we have, getting them to understand it, and when they cook it well, or when they didn't cook it properly, and then they learned to cook it properly and said, "Hey, man, we got it wrong the first time. We got it right. We were really excited when we got it right because your product is actually not crap, like we said the first time. It's actually okay and good because we screwed it up. We didn't cook it properly." Like these are real things, right? Like we can
I love
we
the
can talk
honesty.
about it like a Shah Rukh Khan romance, like it's not all good all the time.
Yeah.
But that journey of creating a new ingredient has its highs and lows of
Yes.
people experiencing it. And we are seeing that experience only ramp up further and further and further, where the adoption is getting more and more uh, mainstream, right?
Yes. Yes.
It's not about the fancy people only. It's not about the person who carries the fancy handbags, eats in fancy restaurants, travels around the world. To
Yeah.
me, it's they're the ones who are going to try it. To me, it's about your day-to-day young middle class, whether it's a single, whether it's a couple, whether it's a family, uh, whatever it is that just goes, "Acha tempeh leke aao yaar." It should not be like, "Oh, have you tried tempeh today?" It's not. It's not about being pretentious, right? And that's what excites us about this adoption, and of course, new products, and of course, international. Sorry, long answer, but
Oh, no, 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 worth it. The passion was absolutely contagious. I completely resonated, and actually, I'm really excited about watching Tempeh go places. All thanks to Hello Tempeh. Siddharth, one of the last things I want to ask you for today, you've been very kind, and you've spoken so much and explained so many things to us about the product, about the company. But before you go, so many young entrepreneurs, so many young people, or people who want to start new things, have an idea and a little skeptical, scared. We've got a lot of listeners who are in that kind of age bracket, who want to learn things, understand how they can start doing their own things. Any message, life lesson, or a business lesson, anything that you would like to share with people?
Yeah, well, I'll be brief. First of all, I appreciate you calling me young. That's very kind of you. I'm not as young as you might think, but so I have a few gray hairs, so I'll try and impart what I think matters.
Yes.
I would tell I mean, there's a lot of young entrepreneurs who are jumping right into it, getting their hands dirty, and I'm quite envious that I wasn't like that when I was their age, and that they're taking such bold moves and risks and so on, and actually coming out of the other end quite successful. Um, the one thing I would say is I think people need to get their hands dirty by doing stuff,
Yes.
even if it's in a risk-free environment. Whether it's working for another startup, could be working for a large company in a department that is an underdog, not in a fancy department that has all the big budgets and so on and so forth. Find a place that's going to push you, and challenge you in ways that your business is going to challenge you.
Yes.
Right? It's super important. If you have to stand in the sun and sell lemonade, 6 days a week for a month, because that's what you're going to need to do. It's what I do when I sell Tempayy and my team does, is we stand and we sell in events and we talk to people over and over and over again. It's like a broken record, and you're just going to like, is this what it was? I thought I'm going to be on LinkedIn all day talking about stuff and giving gyan. Not really. Get in there, do the hard yards. If age is on your side, which it always is, but especially on your side, if you're super young, take a year and a half, and try and find that person who will challenge you, that person who will push you, that person who may know you're going to leave in a year and a half. So it really puts you through the ringer.
Yeah.
Because when you go to your business, those emotions, those feelings, those experiences, if it's not the first time you're feeling it, if it's the second time you're feeling it, you're just going to be that much more confident to overcome it.
Absolutely. I think every cell of my body kind of, resonated with every single thing that you said today. Especially the lesson, right? And this is something that I keep telling my team as well. We have so many young boys and girls in the team, and that's what I keep telling them as well, that, it's, if there were no challenges, what would you learn? And if there is somebody in front of you to kind of like help you and support you and, understand that this is how a process works and push you through it, that's what you need moving forward. So I feel like every single thing that you go through in order to finally reach that little bit of a, ikigai role or goal that you have is absolutely worth it in the end.
Yeah. No, and go through the hard yards, go through the lonely moments, go through the ups. And I always say, when things are bad, people think they're going to stay bad forever. When things are good, they think they're going to stay good forever, and neither of which is true. Right? And so ultimately, you just got to, as we say, pin your ears back, keep the bullshit levels low, and just get on with it and just get shit done. And it's all possible. It's all possible.
Yes, I have absolutely loved this candid conversation of ours today. Thank you, Siddharth, so much for joining us and sharing so much insight, valuable little lessons, and also so much knowledge and information about Tempayy. I'm very excited for the brand, and I'm also very excited for the product. I wish you a lot of power and a lot of growth with Hello Tempayy and with your personal prospects as well.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time. It really means a lot, and good luck to you as well. And see you soon.
Thank you. Thank you.